own a country, but a long time, me live here so can't go no way. Them really take poor people to fool. Them really take poor people to fool. Oh, in somebody land, where you get the system you're from? Bulldozer are down poor people land. John no seminar vote again, no sir. The MP don't give a damn. Where you get the system you're from? Don't say me live on Scotland. Do me don't rich like Matalan, no sir. Me a bad Jamaican. Me have nowhere to go. Me born and me grow, you're something at the ghetto. Bigger heads, make you a blind out. We can't buy your house up a cherry garden. Ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. The tribulation in a the ghetto is a must. Never qualified in a housing trust. For me lose all of my money in a cash transfer. Me know say me a born Jamaican. Me dey from slavery as a African. Somebody tell me where my land come from. We own so much land in our island. Tell me it's a chill. Go back to Japan, can't Jamaica, figgy black man. From Moran Pine to the Grill Pine, from St. Thomas to Westmoreland. Oh, it's a Babylon. Where you get the system you're from? Bulldozer don't poor people land. John no seminar vote again, no sir. The MP don't give a damn. Where you get the system you're from? Don't say me live on Scotland. Do me don't rich like Matalan, no sir. Me a bad Jamaican. Yes, I'm a people bad. So them don't know nowhere else. Government care about them, no. Come and know you don't care for the parents. Me beg you lease me the piece of land, yeah. No have no problem for parents. Don't come give me your eviction notice. Poor people don't have no patience. Me know say me a born Jamaican. Me dey from slavery as a African. Somebody tell me where my land come from. We own so much land in our island. Tell me it's a chin. Go back to Japan, can't Jamaica, figgy black man. From Moran Pine to the Grill Pine, from St. Thomas to Westmoreland. Oh, it's a Babylon. Where you get the system you're from? Bulldozer don't poor people land. John no seminar vote again, no sir. The MP don't give a damn. Where you get the system you're from? Don't say me live on Scotland. Show me don't rich like Matalan, no sir. Me a bad Jamaican. Can't believe it. Government want to move me. Me done refugee in my own country. But a long time, me live here so can't go no way. Them really take poor people to fool. Them really take poor people to fool. Oh, it's a Babylon. Where you get the system you're from? Bulldozer don't poor people land. John no seminar vote again, no sir. The MP don't give a damn. Where you get the system you're from? Don't say me live on Scotland. Show me don't rich like Matalan, no sir. Me a bad Jamaican.
Do not remove your forefathers' boundary, your ancient barriers. Keep them as it is. Because you see what the forefathers has done for us to stand up. If we do not appreciate love and celebrate the work of our forefathers, then we don't have a future. That is the reason why you have other people that tamper with things. And I go on like them come to roll with things. Well, I'm not gonna say, but thank you. Say it again to me. Well, so it is said. Our music have a betterment our school them, and our doctors, and our teachers. So when a boy and a girl imitate the things then, it now do nothing to our foundation of Jamaica, you know. Do not remove your forefathers' boundary, your ancient barriers. Keep them as it is. Because you see what the forefathers has done for us to stand up. If we do not appreciate love and celebrate the work of our forefathers, then we don't have a future. That is the reason why you have other people that tamper with things. And I go on like them come to roll with things. Well, me not go say it, me thank you. Say it again to me then. Well, so it is said. Our music have a betterment our school them, and our doctors, and our teachers. So when a boy and a girl imitate the things then, it now do nothing to our foundation of Jamaica, you know. Do not remove the forefathers' bound.
All right. Now, welcome to this our first episode of the conflict zone. All right, why we call this the conflict zone? Because in this zone, we'll be dealing with conflicts against our people, plus what we are going to say might cause conflicts as well. Conflict between we and you, we and others. All right. All right. First thing we want to look at now is Jamaica now. We're looking at conflicts on a business perspective. And the perspective of how it affect businesses, black-owned business here in Jamaica. All right. Take for instance, the biggest thing that is in front of all of us, the reggae music, which I just play what Shabba had said. You know, we talk about reggae music and a long time. Even we here in UPK, Jamaica, has been saying it to say, you know, when you see the Japanese and the Chinese and the white man are come and do our dance and thing, we are play and cheer them on and thing. And then little after a while now, what thing happen? Japan have the biggest reggae show in the world now. The biggest reggae show should be here. How you think? If I have a way of feeding my family, I learn a skill and I am able to feed my family with that skill. And then I take my skill now and give it to somebody else who in turn come and compete with me. How am I going to feed my family? Would that be common sense? It can't be common sense. All right. I'll set the foundation with a scripture. Baruch 4 and 3. All right. All right. I want to put it up on the screen. You know, our Bible is really the blueprint for us getting, you know, turn that off. The Bible is really the blueprint. Be quiet. It's really the blueprint for us getting up out of here, this place that is called Babylon. All right, come down. All right. The Bible guide us on how we as Israelites can and should survive. Right? And if you have something that is guiding you and how you should survive, a blueprint. You have a blueprint that you should work with, and you're not following the blueprint. What do you think with that? You can't build your structure and your foundation as you should. Right? Baruch tell you, give not thine honor to another. Now the things that are profitable unto thee, to a strange nation. Right? This is talking about, we giving our heritage. It's still like how we do with reggae music. I see how we do with our heritage. We go and we join ourselves to other nations who come and learn from us. Next thing you know, they start calling themselves Israelite. They start calling themselves, oh, we originally said we are Jew. Then them come in and start say that they are Jewish. But in all things, we need to really understand. But the foundation was, trust me, we were crafted from day one. We came over here as slaves. We were not. We have never given 10 years. If we have ever been given a 20-year to really settle in on our own as a people, you know how much we would have achieved as a people. We would have achieved a lot. But you check from when we have been stored up and fight against and so as a people. All right, I want to find the thing. I want to go into our history. Slavery and post-slavery. Where is it? Where did I put it? After slavery. All right, Jamaica. History of Jamaica here now. Hold on. So if we can share this one. We were given no opportunity. Copy. We were not given any any opportunity to be, I don't really want to say be all we can be. No. We were never here in Jamaica given any opportunity to be a people, really. I'm referring to blacks. You check the other nations, they they have been allowed to settle. They never hear so China get evicted off on land or anything like that. If the Chinese live on it and it wasn't his, they find a way to sell it to him. Yeah. That's what's up. Alright. Get this now. That's Shabbat. But when our people now go onto lands that they would say is not ours, even when they don't want it, meaning it's not something that they require to use right away or ever. just the hatred that is built up in them against us as a people, hatred that is built up against you. Worse if you look like you're progressing on it. They just find you and get you off. And then you see the land stay there and stay bare. All right, this one now, right? This is the history of Jamaica. Jamaica's history before emancipation had been influenced mainly by the British colonization of the island. The British colonized the island in order to turn it into a sugar colony. In the process of doing so, sugar and the slave trade brought great wealth to many whites who were eager to make a fortune at the expense of the enslaved Africans. Well, here they're referring to us as Africans. We weren't no Africans, which they knew. But later document because they want to give us that name, brand us as African, rather than to give us our heritage because the next man have it. The next man who the world is afraid of have our heritage. So, they just join the line and say, all right, they're Africans. And like I always say, the interesting thing is, Africans never call themselves Africans. Africans call themselves by the country that they're from. I'm an Ethiopian, I'm a Nigerian, I'm a Ghanaian. This blanket term, which is why they do it, because if they brand us as, say Nigerians, then we're gonna get the Nigerian people them start to look and say, okay, so which I have heard Nigerians out there say, these people, which tribe would they be from? Can't tell you which tribe. But really and truly, we are from Jerusalem, we're not from Africa. All right, so this now document is saying that in the process of doing so, sugar and the slave trade brought great wealth to many whites who were eager to make a fortune at the expense of us, the ones who were enslaved. The same one who then telling now, oh, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Life for the slaves was an absolute nightmare. But with the announcement of emancipation, life soon became easier. Many families moved off the plantations and built houses of their own. So many families that they're talking about emancipation now. Many families come off a plantation and build them own house. Villages sprang up all over the island, while the ex-slaves were rising up and bettering themselves. So you see, look at this. This is the interesting part I see in this document here. We were coming out of slavery, we were actually bettering ourselves. But listen to this now. The plantation owners were losing money. How you ever lose money? You got the money, the emancipation money, not us. We were actually pulling ourselves up by the bootstrap because we were not given anything after slavery. No land, no nothing. No land, no business, no reparation. I mean, they pay off the Chinese and then pay off the Indians. We never get anything. All right. Many of these plantations were losing money, and many plantations eventually folded. They must fold, because built on was free labor, and now they have to be paying for labor. They themselves never know how to manage the money when it comes to that. They know if they big and don't pay people. Many churches were built, and so were several schools. Their religion can be seen as a trait which separates the people of Jamaica and the island itself from any other society, past or present. Many young men and women attended the local schools, and some would become teachers. Thus, while the British colonization did harm to many blacks, it also shaped them as a unique people. So, this writer, Adam Adafa, this documentary, I think it is um, it's all about Jamaica, but I think it came from Scholar Library in Miami. Yeah, it's a Miami-based thing. So all those who used to, those who were directly over us, they are the ones telling the story. But you can pick the glitch out. Once saying the truth, you see the glitch. This one also now I tell you that it helps shape us. So this is like saying, oh, slavery was good for you. Mhm. No more. Yeah, all right. They're saying that the colonization helped invaded arm. It also helped shape us as a unique people. But you think it's colonization while all the Africans who come across us, you know, the Black Americans, us in the Caribbean here, they wonder. So then people are different, man. These people are different from us over there. Yeah. And then the colonizers now would want to tell us that it's because we went through slavery and so on, are different. But that's not so. We are from Jerusalem. Our laws that we live by were different from these laws that they enslaved us in and all that. Right? No more did blacks have to work 18-hour days with the new 41-hour work week. Many families spent more time together and became closer. All right, let me see now. I want to skip down to the part where, right in this part now, talk about the mandatory apprenticeship. All right. Coming out of slavery, the Proclamation was read on August 1st, 1834. From that day forth, labor opportunities and experiences changed for the better. All right. So labor opportunities now start to change after emancipation. But there was a huge problem that confronted the slaves after emancipation. Mandatory apprenticeship was now a new obstacle for them. So, in other words, now they put us through a period though, after enslaving us for over some 300 years. And then, I mean, we were the ones doing everything. Then all of a sudden, now they say, okay, got to go through a period now called apprenticeship. Apprenticeship now, the term apprentice in Jamaica, we like to use the term apprentice. We call a man apprentice like a man a junior in certain field, any field, we call him apprentice. Every rude man on the street knows the term apprentice. If you have a man that is, start flexing with you, just like, yo, apprentice, come here. it actually came after slavery. The period that we went through that is called apprenticeship. And that was for 4 years, all right. A turn from slave labor into a more tolerable wage labor. But the planters abused the new system and failed to keep the many promises they had made to obey the new laws. Why am I not surprised? Right? White man speak with forked tongue. That's what the Indians say. The Indians realize whatever they say, you don't take them at their word. You can never take them at their word. So even that apprenticeship after slavery, they did. We went into 4 years working for them. Their end of the bargain, whatever agreement they had that they were supposed to do, they didn't do. They were not obeying the new laws. So, I mean, when our people today not obeying the laws, they call state of emergency and all that. So why did the state then didn't call a state of emergency or something and the planters? They obviously you see, they were the first lawbreakers. They did not keep their end of the bargain. Because of the behavior of the plantation owners, apprenticeship was abolished after only 3 years. Not because of the behavior of the slaves, but because of the behavior of the very slave master. They had to abolish of only 3 years. While many ex-slaves did well, others were left in dire poverty, often starving and naked in some villages on the island. Their elected government was supposed to be representing them and looking out for their well-being. Yet the whites on the island were almost exclusively the ones who could vote. Oh yes, it was 1948, I think. The universal adult suffrage was granted, where blacks would have to vote. Not that it did any good for us, but what this article said that the needs of the people, were not being represented because it was the whites who had the vote. So in other words, there was no power, nothing was given to the slaves. Not even like a power. And the so-called freedom was not really freedom, but we still pulled through other people, and we came up and we managed to pull ourselves up. But then, let's see if we can get to the part now with what really happened after. All right. I'm going to go into what happened after, which is, let me find it, that infamous Morant Bay Rebellion. You know, the Morant Bay Rebellion was like, who on it? Tell them to be quiet, please. Copy. Peace. All right. So when you have the Morant Bay Rebellion, I don't know what. Let's backtrack a little. Let's go to. I mean, I'm trying to really give you about um, Probably about 300 years of slavery within less than an hour here. Trying to give you a condensed thing there. All right, because you have the big Moran Bay Rebellion in October 1865. But prior to Moran Bay Rebellion, during slavery, we had the Maroons, which helped to also form a part of the culture in Jamaica. Well, today, you hear much about Maroons, but the Maroons actually contribute, coming in the society and actually contribute, you know, labor and so on to the people. Talking about today, because they have schools sponsored by the government of Jamaica and so on. But all the Maroons became Maroons, was, where the natives were out here, the native Indians. We call them the Tainos. It was the Tainos that taught these runaway slaves how to survive in the bush. They wouldn't have become Maroons without the help of. Let's see where in the show. They wouldn't have become Maroons without the help of thing there, without the help of the Tainos. They wouldn't have survived in the bush. Then they didn't know the interior part of the land. The plantations were on the lowland area, not in the hills. So, when slaves ran away, they took to the hills. And by taking to the hills, how you survive up there. Right? Those days now, you had snakes and so not there was no poisonous snakes, but the wildlife in Jamaica was there. Wild boar, snakes, and so on and so forth. But how you eat and survive in the land and not be detected by your enemies that actually were taught to the Maroons from the Indians, the Tainos. And the Tainos survive that even today there is a small they don't want you, the Tainos don't want you to talk about it because of what they go through. But we know that they were the tribe of Ephraim. They were Israelites. They were over here before everybody else. Right? Just like the Native Americans over there. Remember, Mexico used to be a vibrant country. It was the trading hub around this side, Mexico. It was called, that I used to you learn in school about the Yucatan Peninsula. Yeah, that was when Mexico was. I never did name Mexico. But I don't even know what it was called. But there was a trading hub right there. People come, and it was Israelites who were trading. You had the Banasites. Look at the red people in Cuba. They were around here before, right? The other natives, look, millions of them around here speaking Spanish. Why, you think they were here living in the bush? No, they weren't. They were here before everybody else. But they were not encouraged to merge or what's the proper word now? Join with us who were seen as slaves. So we especially in the English speaking Caribbean, we came up not even realizing that there's those who speak Spanish and thing is far greater than us around here, which means, they brought us in here, but those people were also on the oppressor. They were also facing the oppression from the Spanish and other Europeans. Right? That was when the pit of the bottomless pit was really open, man. Right? They were doing the same thing to us at that time that than the same thing that you see happening to the Palestinians now. It's the same thing they did to us. The natives that were around here and those of us who they brought into slavery. I mean, when they string us on a tree and lynch you and things, who was there? There was no United Nations, there was no other nation to speak up on our behalf. There was no one to bawl out injustice, and no one to bawl out for, what's the proper word now? War crime and all that. We had to bear this oppressor's cruelty. Many of us fought back and, of course, died because they are still reigning. Right? So, I mean, the Palestinians now, they have people speaking for them and all that. The other day, there was a boycott against some of the Jewish-owned businesses. They called for a boycott within the Arab countries. The first one they were at was like McDonald's and the Starbucks and so that were within the Arab countries. They start boycotting them. What could we do when we were going through this? Couldn't do anything. I had to go through it. I had to grin and bear it. Many of us who managed to run away, what do you think we ran away to? We went into the bush. But even living in the bushes were way better than serving under this cruel beast. This was a beast of a man. All right, so the Morant Bay Rebellion come around now in 1865. And what happened now? 12th of October, 1865. John Davidson, a magistrate in the east of Jamaica, wrote to the island's governor, Edward John Eyre, Eyre, and this is what he wrote. Now listen to this message. This is what the governor, the magistrate that would have been on, Morant Bay side, wrote to the governor. The governor would have been where? Spanish Town. I think he was in Spanish Town at the time. The people at Morant Bay on the island's southeast coast, St. Thomas in the east parish, put that in bracket, have risen, burned down the courthouse, released all the prisoners, murdered several white people. Now, trust me, this this was the message now that the part where group level was this, murdered several white people. When they put that in it, all hell broke loose. What the governor unleashed on the people and the entire island against blacks is akin to what is happening in Gaza. So see, we tell you the same thing that they are going through. We did the same thing. Yeah. Here in Morant Bay, the rebellion take place. People can't take the oppression no more and just break in upon them. One day they have courthouse and they just break in. and chop up everybody in there. They didn't even have guns. Sticks and stones and machete. And you know, those Benjamin boy, they went in and they unleashed their anger on those people that were there. Right? They burned down the courthouse, they released all the prisoners, and they murdered several white people. Oh, listen to this part now. Within hours of receiving this news, Erie had sent hundreds of troops to St. Thomas. Now, the rebellion happened 12th of October, you know. And see, by the 13th of October, he issued a proclamation of martial law for the island's county of Surrey. Now, remember the earlier we read, we're coming out of slavery. They agreed to 4 years of apprenticeship, right? Where we would be working for them for, if you even get the money, it's still not enough. Yet still, they were not holding their end of the bargain, and the apprenticeship program had to be cut 1 year before time, right? And now the same injustice when one meted out to these people in Stony Gut, in St. Thomas. And what happened? Troops, because they're unlawful. Yeah, they are monsters. So they unleash the troops on them. So you see this practice that they have now when they talk about state of emergency. Well, they call it, yeah, SOE. That's what the SOE stands for. State of emergency. Right? This is not new. Not new. And from the time of 1865 until now, our government have not found a solution to the economic problems of these people. You think it's fine? You think it's fine? They can't find it. Eh? The West have money to maintain war and make war. You think they can solve the economic problem without big nothing? Opportunity. Ease up the pressure. You just have your foot on this set of people neck. What a day when they get the chance to put back their neck on their feet on your neck. Gosh. So within hours, by the next day, the 13th of October, the rebellion took place at 12, and by the 13th, hundreds of troops were in St. Thomas. And on the 13th of October, he issued a proclamation of martial law for the island's county of Surrey. Right, we have 3 counties in Jamaica. Cornwall, there are 14 parishes, and then they divide the island also by what is called counties. We have 3 counties, Cornwall, Middlesex, Surrey. So the county of Surrey, that is what? St. Thomas, Portland, I think St. Mary, Kingston. Yeah, Kingston is in Surrey too. Surrey County. All right. All right. Which covered its eastern end. This was the Morant Bay Rebellion, an infamous episode of brutal colonial violence, which would reverberate both in Jamaica and in Britain. It's the same like how the Palestinian went across the border and killed 1,000 Israelis, and then what is happening now is the retaliation of the Israelis and the unleashing terror on the Palestinians. I mean, the last body count I heard for the Palestinians were 20,000, over 21,000. There are now over 21,000 Palestinians dead. Now watch this. All right, they're showing it here. Portland, St. Andrew, St. Thomas. All right, I don't know that Kingston is right down there below. St. Andrew. St. Mary is somewhere near Portland. Though that's Surrey County. All right, the background on this rebellion now. The rebellion was a result of years of political, economic, and racial tension. All right. Oh, and this document is from the National Archive, the government's National Archive of UK, not Jamaica. Because, I mean, what the governor out here did was so terrible that even the British start to cry out. The same people in England start to cry out and said, no, 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 that's cruel. Can you imagine? And the oppressor, you can imagine, look at the things that they do around here, you know, lynch and rape and all kind of thing. And the government in England says nothing. Or after more rebellion, and what the governor unleashed on the island, even the people, let me read it. Let me read it. Economic and racial tension in Jamaica. The rebellion was a result of political, economic, and racial tensions in Jamaica, right? So in this show now, we look at the economic side really. It's everything, but we emphasize the economic side because that's where the political, yeah, but the economic side is where you can go your bed with food, which have the offspring of crime and all them things. The island was in the grip of an economic decline, but had also faced years of epidemics, flood, and droughts. The island enslaved population had been emancipated 1st of August 1834, but were initially placed in apprenticeship to their former masters, another form of bonded labor. So the apprenticeship turned out to be another form of bonded labor for a period of 4 to 6 years. But that was the agreement, but they had to cut it short. Apprenticeship was abandoned in 1838. Right? So they had to cut it short. 1834, 1838. And August, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the document said 3 years, they have to cut it short. Suppose it's little over 3 years. But over the next 3 decades, black estate workers and peasants bore the brunt the economic crisis, receiving few civil or religious freedoms from Jamaica's whites, and to a lesser extent, mixed race. Elites who often actively tried to restrict and criminalize them further. What is new? This was what is happening in 1830. What's new today? The same thing. Listen to this last part. Who often actively try to restrict and criminalize them further. Isn't that what they are doing today? Criminalizing that, which is why that's why we have to speak out against the SOE and knock out there, because we know that it's not new. They have been. You give the people nothing coming out of slavery and things. I mean, what do you expect? They have to survive. It's the first instinct of human is survival. What you learn in school, self-preservation. When a person lose self-preservation, then you know, generally it is for the protection of mankind, his family, his loved ones, right? Then you don't think about self-preservation. Then you think about going to save, where people put themselves in harm's way to save an next person. But outside of that, self-preservation, that is what is happening with many of those who turn to crime. There is no social program. They talk about apprenticeship, which turned out to be another form of slavery. It's very government had to stop it. In early 1865, the Jamaica Legislative Assembly had passed bills against cane cutting. The surreptitious harvesting of small amounts of sugar cane for personal use, a custom which had been relatively tolerated even under slavery. Since emancipation, this and squatting on abandoned estate. Now, white people, they abandoned the estate and think, no, you were slaves on the estate, you were not given land. Then when still when you're on the abandoned estates, you were charged for squatting. Where were you supposed to go? And see, the next thing they did, make law against cutting of small amount of cane for personal use. And many of these ex-slaves, they knew how to cut the cane, get the horse and the millstone, use the horse and grind, turn the mill to juice the cane. And then they had the big copper pot to boil cane juice and make sugar for themselves. Then they outlaw that. See? That's a war on the economic and that was a war on, well, many of them, it's a personal use, but they sell it because if I know to make the sugar, it's not everybody know to make it. I make a little sugar and I give my friends some, I sell some, and then wet sugar became a big business in Jamaica. But here it is telling you that it was the law ban, the government banned that. Jamaica Legislative Assembly. Cane cutting, the surreptitious harvesting of small amounts of sugarcane for personal use, a custom which had been relatively tolerated even under slavery. Since emancipation, this squatting and abandoned estate, often the only way laborers could make ends meet, had been codified as crimes. So the only ways that the slaves had to survive, the ex-slaves had to survive, now was made criminal. And you going to tell me that you want to see people rise? Which people you want to see rise? It's embedded in the DNA of the government to be cruel against the people. Now, the assembly proposed punishing cane cutting with whipping or a return to the apprenticeship for those under 16. Petitioning the Secretary of State for Colonies, Edward Cardwell, MP, to veto the bill, the Anti-Slavery Society noted that the whip is the symbol of slavery and its return, coupled with a revival of involuntary servitude or slavery. So it's just like what happened in the Americas, where the slavery done, they realized that the slave masters now becoming poor. So, they try to find ways to make slavery legal again without having open slavery. So the way how you as ex-slaves could survive, they made that criminal. Damn. Good night. This is who we serve in this world. A real cruel beast of a man. Is he really a man? A revival of involuntary servitude or slavery expressed a mischievous and dangerous tendency on the assembly's part. So, what this is saying now, in England, you have a group of people now who call themselves now the Anti-Slavery Society. So they were looking at these things now and saying that the House of Assembly out here is creating mischief, which of course would have been true. They feared the black population would be forced to riot if they were carried, right? Which happened, which caused the Marabe Rebellion. So you were free, then they look at the things that of how you were surviving, and then they make how you were surviving criminal. Tell you can't do that. Which is why in America now they can't even harvest rainwater. That's criminal. It's criminal to harvest rainwater. What this man is telling you, that he is God. And not even the good one too. A terrible one. He's telling you that he is God over you. Which is why our people need to, we need to see these things and wake up. So the black economy war has been raging black economy from them time. Because a lot of what we're reading about isn't that what is happening. How is crime fighting in Jamaica right now? SOE, state of emergency. Same thing. They didn't think that. All right, listen, there's more I want to read. Now I go too deep in it and I really want to run too long for the first thing here tonight. All right. Jamaica's black estate worker and peasants were not passive. They organized and campaigned for more equitable treatment and working conditions. So in other words, now we have to organize and go back to the slave masters and beg them now to be, because what happened was the House of Assembly, which was where what today we call it Parliament. In America now they would call it the Congress and so on. Those who sat in the house were the actual slave owners, plantation owners. So there was no really, you didn't have salary for paying House of Assembly people because they were the ones who owned the plantation. So in other words, they made the rules. So they were the ones who were losing money, we read earlier on, and they were the ones who were making the rules. So they were trying to make rules for you to come back on their plantation for free. So they outlaw a lot of things. One of the mainspring of these campaigns were the native Baptist churches. Nonconformist missionaries had been active in the Caribbean since the 17th century and were blamed for many slave rebellions by Jamaica's plantocracy. But after emancipation, European preachers' influence waned. The Native Baptist churches had been started by black refugees from the American Revolution. Yeah, is it? I tell you, we can't. There is every aspect of our history right here. You will see America come up in it. Because Baptist was right around there from the emancipation, before the emancipation of slavery. And see what they tell you that it was started by the black refugees from the American Revolution. But it wasn't them, it was actually the whites who, when they become refugees or whatever, just like today, oh, but they are good blacks. Sorry, they are good whites. They are not all bad. Well, those who they say were some of the good whites, them help them start the church. You see, who you they reporting to now? Reporting to them the same slave masters. If they were good, why didn't we get total freedom? There is no such thing. I'm talking total religious freedom. All these churches were not at liberty to tell the people that they are Israelites. Those who found out that they were Israelites, they were ostracized, they were outcast as troublemakers. It was not until 1969 when we really get bold-faced and step out of the church and the spirit of the Lord of God start to breathe back life in the people. Till today now we have the truth, I.S.U.P.K. But that's the history of Jamaica when it comes to slavery. And entwined in it, yeah, we have the Americans. There is always the American influence in Jamaica from slavery until now. The gospel was more radical. They merged African cultural practices with Christian ritual. They spoke more to the political concerns of the island black poor. In St. Thomas, in the east, one native preacher, Paul Bogle, expounded a radical political vision to his congregation at his chapel in Stonygut, near Morant. Right, so that's how the Morant Rebellion started. Paul Bogle started getting radical. We in the UPK are radical too, but the truth wasn't born then, and you can't confront this beast like that. That's what I tell you. The Bible is our blueprint. The only way to confront this beast is for us to make the change. Come back to the Most High God. That's how you beat him, right? You start sigh and cry for your people, and the Most High see you, teach you, mark you. Him can't trouble you. You wait till Christ come, which is, anyways. Bogle was in Morant Bay on Saturday, 7th of October, 1865. A crowd had assembled for the petty session. It got more than that. There was a lot of back and forth with Paul Bogle traveling to St. Catherine, Spanish Town, to meet with the governor for what is happening in the Stonygut region there, which was a explantation, sorry, I think abandoned plantation. Blacks had start acquiring land within that area. And they were outlawing them, just like they were there. They were making their economic viability that they were doing, they were making it outlaw. And they start to push back and say, no man, this not right. And there was the political assembly then was not budging. People say, you're not budge? All right. That's what caused the rebellion. All right, go down some more. At which the magistrate found a boy guilty of assault and fined him, tacking on much higher court costs for him to pay. James Georgigan, a black spectator, urged him to pay the fine but not the costs. The magistrates ordered Georgigan arrested, but he fled into the throng. Two policemen gave chase, but were beaten and mocked by the crowd. That no new either. So the policeman came there and trying to find this man who they want to pinpoint him as a troublemaker. This was before the rebellion, a couple of days before the 12th. Beat the policeman them and thing. In consequence, on Monday the 9th of October, the magistrate issued warrant for Bogle's and others' arrest for assisting Georgigan. 6 policemen and 2 constables came to Stony Brook on Tuesday, 10th of October to arrest Bogle, but they were mobbed by more than 300 men armed with cutlasses and sticks, detained for several hours, and made to swear oath that they would join their color and cleave to the black. Drinking gunpowder laced rum to seal this. Say that words. Make them swear. They take over the policeman and make them swear and say, yeah, don't join we in this. And they say, yeah, we're going to, because they were outnumbered. And then they give them the rum. Say, all right, this is what you're going to drink for sure, that you swear and put gunpowder mix up in the rum. Let's see if it did them anything. To seal this, Bogle stated that he would go to Morant Bay the next day to see his accusers. The local magistrate called up the militia and requested Erie send them troops. On 11th of October, Bogle and a crowd of hundreds, some armed with cutlass and a few firearms, marched to the courthouse. All right, so you see, this is why we're looking at, from this angle, war on our businesses, because Marbury Rebellion was just that, right? It wasn't just some wayward people who just decided that they were going to storm a courthouse and things. There were injustices. They were moving against the very survival of these people in St. Thomas, right? The laws were right across the island, but the people in St. Thomas, they were feeling the brunt of it for some reason. I don't know why, but they were the one feeling a strong point in it, and they couldn't take the pressure anymore. And they were trying ways to petition the governor and all that. They tried a political solution, which didn't work. They tried a magistrate solution, which didn't work. And a few firearms marched to the courthouse, confronted with the militia. They threw stones and insults. The militia responded by opening fire, and all hell broke loose. The crowd attacked them and set fire to the courthouse. 18 militia was killed, while at least 7 rioters lost their lives, as the rest began seizing control of the parish. This would last perhaps 2 days, as troops and Maroons, the Maroons came out against the people, joined with the troops. Is it? Troops and of escape slave people who are troop, formally trained and so on. And then you want some guerrilla style fighting or some gladiator style fighting. Then they bring in the Maroons. Because the Maroons now, they knew the era. So it's just like how it's a George Gun slip the police and then through the crowd and thing. You can't get away from the Maroon like that. He know to track you down. So if you even run to the bushes, he can find you. So they employ him now. So he was like a gladiator thing, which is why we Maroons should not be praised, Mm-mm. They weren't with us. We who went through the throngs of slavery, we did it. Maroons fought against us. Rushed into St. Thomas in the east, unrestrained by Erie's martial law proclamation. By the time the rebellion was suppressed in early November, listen to this, 469 black Jamaicans were dead. By the time in November, they suppressed the rebellion was suppressed quick, but what followed was a series of investigation and lockups and so on. Not an investigation. The word was that everybody who had spoken, if you have ever said anything against the state, even if you're in the other end of the island, executed at I.S.U.P.K court martial. Right. See? You find them 469 Jamaicans executed or otherwise killed. 600 were brutally flogged, while 1,000 houses were burned. Yeah, them they know was the Maroon who do those. Bogle evaded capture initially, but was taken by a party of Maroons under Colonel Fife in, on the 23rd of October. So it was the Maroons who caught Bogle. A strike, couldn't strike out of history book. And later day when the police are go there, everybody are run behind on top. Well, leave the Maroon alone. The police should go over there and the flag will not go outside. They had been tipped off to his whereabouts by a spy, and they came on him unawares when he was coming out of the bush with a sugar cane in his hand. He was sentenced to death by court martial and hanged the very next day. Causes and consequences. All right. Causes and consequences. Now, in this section, now, this was a thing where all right, this was where now the governor sent his report to England. So yeah, that is why they are able to. This article I'm reading from the National Archive of the Government of UK. For some reason, the National Archive of Jamaica government, we can't access it online. I don't know why. All right, so in his dispatchers back to London, which were later published in the London Gazette, Erie related the circumstances of the rebellion and what he believed had caused it. He forwarded a copy of petition sent to him by Bogle. Tell you, it was some back and forth before the actual rebellion. by Bogle and other rebel leaders on 10th of October, the day before the violence at the courthouse. Right, that petition was when them say, boy, listen. They spoke of the mean advantages that have been taken of us. They asked area of the rights of law they believed they were due, promising that otherwise we will be compelled to put our shoulders to the wheel as we have been imposed upon for 27 years since 1838. So you give the England say we should be free, we're free, and then the local assembly out here now impose upon them for 27 years because the the governance was still in the hands of the plantation owners. So it's like they were carrying a grudge and they were unleashing on the people. When apprenticeships came to an end, all right, Bogle and his comrades' rhetoric was even stronger in a letter which Iris said had been found in a house in Stonygot during the rebellion. Not a damn thing. He, he was trying to cover his skin. So because there were a lot of back and forth. Bogle, they even went into Spanish Town with caravans of them, and the governor did not come out to them and tell them. As a matter of fact, in those days, traveling is not like now. You just jump on a bus and you reach Kingston. A journey from here to Kingston was days, take days, because and people used to travel in caravans, meaning in groups. A caravan going into Kingston, horse and buggy are what we call dray. And they carry the people used to they travel with their pots and food and things because you could have wheel problem. A wheel problem back then is not like now you just come out and change a spare tire. They had a wheel problem, whereas if one of the dray brake and axle, sometimes you have to go send back for the axle, you know, and they come back like a day or two or whatever. They put it on, they get moving, something happened to another vehicle, another one of the thing there. Right? So traveling was not like now. Right? So there was a lot of back and forth. But this is what he is saying. And what I'm saying is I'm trying to find them thing there. Skin for skin. This is what he said he found in a house in Stonywood during the rebellion. It says, skin for skin, the iron bars is now broken in this parish. The letter said, every black man must turn up at one, for the oppression is too great. The white people are now cleaning up their guns for us, which we must prepare to meet too. Right. That letter wouldn't be for the governor. That would be a correspondence among themselves. So then said the white people must clear up their guns. We need to get our shoulders ready. Well, guess what? They are cleaning up their guns today, and we in the truth. In the truth, we have our protection from the Most High. The Most High can protect you through this. The thing, guns and things can work. Palestinians, they have guns, The Hamas have guns. And there are a couple bombs too. Bombs that can reach over in Israel. But they can't use them. Because this is not how you beat this oppressor. This man was blessed with war. War was his blessing. The dispatchers also began to give readers in Britain an impression of the brutality, right? This is the part now, of the brutality Erie had unleashed in retaliation. His 13th of October proclamation of martial law promised that our military forces shall have all power of exercising the right of belligerence against such of the inhabitants opposed to our government. See, one anybody who had speak anything against the government was hanged during that time when him unleashed the thing there, the military. Effectively declaring any rebels to be equivalent to enemy combatants in a war. A 19th of October letter from Colonel J. Francis Hobbs, involved in the rebellions suppressed, to his commanding officer spoke of how, having received rebel prisoners, one had them all shot. I had them all shot. Once they come to him, then hung them up from trees. This was not just a restoration of public order, it was a war of terror. I mean, isn't that what is happening in Gaza? Well, the rebellion was the same thing like what is happening in Gaza. People can't take the oppression and they retaliate. Think of you cornering an animal. You show him nowhere out, and you're making the feeling that you're really going to kill him. What do you going to do? Just turn around on you. He might survive and he might not survive, but he won't try. That's what happened in Tigray. And then there was George William Gordon. All right, well, I think we're going to go into George William Gordon. Past the time that we had allotted, maybe we can touch George William Gordon another time. So much so that the House of Assembly now is called Garden House. The place that they sit called Garden House is named after George William Gordon, who was an accomplice to, was said to be an accomplice and possibly financier to Boglem. He was a businessman for sure. He wasn't black, really. George William Gordon wasn't black. I don't know if which side of him. I think he was mixed, but I'm not sure which side. But he was not very disreputable, but we're not going into that for today. We talk about Paul Vogel and the rebellion and show that it was actually the government moving against the people's economic well-being, and they retaliated, and they retaliated violently. All right. So thanks for your time. There's more that we could have looked at, but this is good enough. All right. So now you know that the Maroons were the ones who really captured Paul Bogle. All right. So thanks for your time. This is the conflict zone. Join us next week again at 9, anywhere between 9 and 10. We have some other class that we have to facilitate before we can start this. So I would say about 9:30, 10. Set aside that time to be with us again. Thanks for your time. Shalom. And thanks to our viewers on TikTok.
Mainstream, yeah.